What a phenomenal comeback it's been. And it's something that not many people would have expected. India were bowled out for 36 at Adelaide, but have bounced back with an 8-wicket win at Melbourne in the second test. A lot of the odds were stacked against them, yet they battled, and it was Ajinkya Rahane, the captain, who led from the front. And as we had done before the Melbourne test match, I've got with me renowned coach Simon Helmot joining me all the way from Brisbane, and Sachin Bajaj from Mumbai. Remember, this video is presented to you by the Global Cricket School, and today we are going to look back at India's victory and what it means for cricket in general. So let me start with Simon. Simon, something that definitely we didn't expect. How do you look at it as a coach? What would have gone on in the Indian dressing room, especially mentally, to bounce back from the trenches, if I may use the word?
Well, gentlemen, firstly, congratulations on a magnificent victory. You guys must be very, very pleased. Obviously, from an Australian point of view, we felt we had an advantage coming into this match with Virat Kohli not playing, Shami injured. You changed your wicket keeper. We spoke about this, didn't we, when we chatted last week? You know, there could be a change of the keeper. There was adjustments to the batting order. 4 changes to this game. I must admit, I just thought this was an uphill battle for the Indian team, but you have a person that we did speak about last week who stepped in as the captain, a cool, calm and collected character. And he spoke about that word character after the match and about the character of the newbies in the team, and Siraj and Gill. And he showed it, the team showed it. And I thought it was a classic test match on what we would say, gentlemen, a magnificent MCG pitch, which provided something for the bowlers and also something for the batters. A brilliant test match, and it certainly made this test series very, very interesting now.
It certainly has. And for India especially, it's very special considering the way they have bounced back. And there were so many odds stacked against them, as I mentioned earlier. First and foremost, Virat Kohli heading back, Rohit Sharma in quarantine, Mohammad Shami injured, Ishant Sharma not available. And to top it all, during the test match, they lost Umesh Yadav, although he had done a lot of his job as well. So all these things going against India, yet they have managed to bounce back. Sachin, I will bring you in now. The last time India were bowled out for 42 was in 1974, and that too was a complete disaster. They never recovered from that. In fact, they went on to lose the Test series 3-0 in England, and things went awry even off the field. Where does this win rank for you among India's overseas wins?
One of the greatest in many ways. I'll go back to that 74 tour. There were a lot of off-field problems on that trip, which are well documented in the autobiographies of some of the legends. The difference is that was a very divided team. This was a very united team, and they had in them a very tough customer as team director, Mr. Ravi Shastri, who is known to fight back, whether it's from injury. I remember a Ranji Trophy game. We were chasing 450 or 500 for Karnataka. He and Sairaj went in at the fall of the 5th wicket at 210, and Bombay chased that score, and we won. We made it to the final. So it's that, what do you call the wily, tenacious, or what we call kharoos. It's an Indian term, Bombay cricket mentality that came out, whether it was in Rahane's captaincy, very astute in his batting. He must have got all the guys around together, and they said, right, got nothing to lose. Let's go give it our best. Shastri is always a cricketer who played way above his ability, who's played a lot on with his mental toughness. And I think they got the Indians, their mental prep to this match. I mean, I'm not privy to what would have happened, but I can assume that their mental prep to this match, setting their mindsets right, going into this game, approaching it positively, batting positively, was absolutely fantastic. And I mean, to see someone like Gill come in, he reminds me of a very fit version of Inzamam ul Haq here. He's got the strokes, he's got everything. It augurs well for Indian cricket that these guys got their opportunity, him and Siraj, and they've taken it. And Ashwin and Jadeja are like wine, they keep getting better with age. So all in all, it's been fantastic. And I hope we go on to Sydney. I mean, the entire aim, you notice there was no celebration. It was quiet. It was muted. The entire focus is going to go and acquit and do well in Sydney and try and win that test match.
Right. And Simon, there was one question that I would want to ask you, because you have been a part of a team environment across the globe. And it was possibly best summed up by Ashwin's wife, because she tweeted after the game that I have seen and spoken to Ashwin after every test match he has played and after a lot of wins, but I've never seen him this happy and satisfied and light with a smile in his eyes. What does such a performance do to a team's morale? And what can go through a dressing room when you potentially overcome something like this?
I think we're seeing a very calm, consistent and balanced squad. And Sachin's correct. This team didn't over-celebrate. This was a masterful victory, a brilliant victory, one of the best Indian victories of all time. And can I say that the MCG is a very good hunting place for the Indian cricket team. They've won their most away matches at the MCG. I think they would have liked to have kept playing at the MCG, but I believe news to hand, gentlemen, we're going to be heading up to the SCG. We'll talk about that later. Hey, I just thought the Indian team, Ricky Ponting said something very interesting on the telecast over here. I'm not sure if you heard it. He believes that the Indian team is playing the short ball better than the Australian team. Can you believe it? In Australian conditions, bouncy, fast wickets, the Indian team or Indian teams of yesteryear haven't necessarily had the pace of Bumrah, the pace of Siraj. Now you have plentiful options of pace, fast bowling. You're upsetting the Australian team up here. Players are getting out. Players are getting hit. That's what we call intimidatory bowling. It's all very fair and by the rules, but they're actually mixing up the batsman's feet. Whereas you saw when Rahane came to the wicket, second ball, ball passes through here, whack, 4 runs. That was the statement. That was to say, we're winning this test match. We're winning it in the second session, the 4th day, and we're going to go level the series, and away we go. This Indian team is exciting. It shows you have great depth. It also shows that when you bring in your experienced players like Jadeja, you bring him back into the side. He makes that 50 in the lower middle order and just settles the team. You get yourselves in a good position of a nice lead. Pressure goes back onto Australia. And that's what this game of Test cricket's all about. Keep maintaining pressure on the opposition. Let's face it, the 2 main batsmen from each team, the 2 anchors of each team, Bajaj and Steve Smith, they haven't really fired a shot yet. We've got all these other players who are doing so well, and that makes it so exciting for the next 2 test matches in Sydney and in Brisbane.
And what can you tell us about Cameron Green? Because he seems to be quite a solid player. It's not all doom and gloom for Australia, because I felt Cameron Green this morning especially was really solid and showed good temperament. What potential does this youngster hold for the future?
The potential is that he's got all-round skills, that he can obviously bat. You know, he's batting at 6 at the moment, but there's chances are over his career he can bat higher. And he's an excellent fast bowler. Look, he's a long way off the great Jacques Kallis, but he's a player who I think can bat higher and obviously bowl some valuable overs. And that's been a critical element to the successful Australian teams in the past. However, obviously it's early in his career and he's still developing his game. I think the other part for Australia, and I know we'll talk about selection shortly, David Warner did a lot of training today at the MCG and did a lot of, we know how hard a trainer he is. We've seen in the IPL how successful he's been for so many years, and especially at the Sunrisers. But he was working very, very hard. He's got 8 days now for that test match. Joe Burns looks out of form. So you would think that Warner would come into that side, Burns would fall out, and obviously that side's still quite settled. The Indian team, what do they do? Especially their CG, which is noted for obviously spin.
Sachin, coming to you, it moves to your favorite venue, SCG.
It's home. Coogee, Bondi, Clovelly, the SCG. my old friend David Moore, who, if I know him, will be going through some Rocky Road ice cream and some chocolate bars as we speak over Christmas. The great Lee Jamon, Henry Lawson, who's my elder brother, who I live with when I'm in Sydney. I'm absolutely looking forward to it. I wonder if the Australians could fit, since it's in the Sydney Test match, fit Moses Enriquez into their team. I think he could bat in the middle order. If he could be fitted in, because he's done well against India. He knows the SCG pitch. He's good. He's a good wicket-taking bowler. You bring him on in the middle, he can disrupt a partnership. good fielder and has been an astute captain for New South Wales. I'd like to see the Aussies thinking outside the box and trying to fit him into their playing 11 for that test match.
Simon, what do you think of Sachin's suggestion about getting in Moses Enriquez?
Good suggestion, and understanding how obviously he's the captain of New South Wales and knows the wicket very well. I think though the Australians will stay with the existing team. That the person who was a bit like Cameron Green, it was Will Pekoski. He was one that they were looking to maybe try and get in at some stage. That would put pressure on Travis Head, but I think the bowling unit's fairly settled with the three big fast bowlers in Stark, Hazelwood and Cummins. Nathan Lyon will take up some overs and Green to assist. But the balance of the Indian side with Ashwin and Jadeja, that's going to be very beneficial at the SCG. Very beneficial. We know spin has an impact at the SCG. And this is where the pressure is going to be on the Australian side. How astute was the captaincy of Rahane, bringing on Ashwin as first change, bowling him early on the first day? The great Shane Warne always said, if the wicket is seaming, it will spin. Well, it was spinning, and it was spinning and it was bouncing. And people talk about Shane Warne being a great bowler for his side spin and his variation, especially before his shoulder injury. But it was the bounce at the whacker and places like that where he also did exceptionally well. Ravi Ashwin, that was a masterclass. That was a masterclass of spin bowling. He's a legend of the game, this fella. He is just an absolute champion. And Jadeja, how crafty, how smart, great fielder. How was that first catch to Matthew Wade when Shudman, the young Shudman Gills, being so enthusiastic, he still had the presence to take that catch. But then don't underestimate that half century of Jadeja. I thought it was a classic innings from him. He had to be conservative in ways to make sure that they had a longevity in the innings. I thought it was such an exciting test match. It certainly still went at a good pace. We didn't get through the whole full 4 days. And we're still yet to see the best out of Smith and Labuschagne for Australia. We're still yet to see the best out of Pujara. I think Agarwal's, I'd like to get your guys' opinion, Sachin. I think Agarwal may be in some strife. He's on the move. You can't be on the move on Australian wickets. You just can't be. There's too much bounce. There's too much pace. He's on the move as he's playing his shots. He's pushing the bat a long way out in front. You cannot do that. Poor shot from Pujara. I think he was just trying to get the job done. But I was so impressed with Gill. And obviously the captain, he led from the front.
Simon, we just lost your... Yeah, we've got you back. Okay. Sachin, now that is quite a point because Mayank has struggled, and with Rohit Sharma ready and available for the next test match, one would expect him to possibly come in place of a Mayank Agarwal. That is, I think, the popular consensus.
I think it'll happen. And no disrespect to Mayank, he'll go back and work his things out. I mean, I'm not a technician on the game as much as I think I'd want to be one, but I think Helmot summed it up pretty aptly. And it's a wicket that is going to spin. This brings me back to one of my greatest memories of a Sydney test match. It was Alan Border's second test match as Australia captain after Kim Hughes quit halfway through a series or was given the push, whatever it was. And Australia gambled with two spinners, Max Bennett and Dutchy Holland there. Dutchy Holland passed away a few years ago with a brain tumor. And they'd lost the first three test matches. AB took over, and I think they drew in Melbourne. I'm not sure. It was the fourth test of Perth. I'm not sure. They went to SCG, and Bennett and Holland came in. It might have been McDermott's first test, or McDermott was definitely in the squad for that test match. I'm not sure. But Dutchy Holland and Max Bennett, they pretty comprehensively hammered the West Indies at the SCG. I still got some footage somewhere of how Murray Bennett was getting some of their guys out. I think Stumper Rickson was behind the stumps then. It was a great test match. Yeah, I'll never forget it. Yeah, I remember hearing it with Jimmy Maxwell calling it on Radio Australia Sport back in the day. My greatest memory of an SCG match. Jadeja and Ashwin in play. I think it's evenly poised. I'd like the Australian team management think outside the box, and I'll again reiterate. I'd play Enriquez here instead of Travis Head because he is worth a few runs. And he will give you a different option with the ball. And I would punt on Enriquez on his home ground. Finally, it's up. I mean, the Australian team management knows what's best. But if I was an Aussie selector, this is what I would do, but I'm not. That's another story. I'd like to see a great game of cricket with India coming out on top.
And that brings me to the question of Steven Smith against Ashwin. Ashwin has had quite a hold over him in this series. And Simon, what do you think Smith will do? Because he's a champion batsman, no doubt about it. If anything, I feel that big one may just be round the corner. Remember in 2003, 2004, Sachin Tendulkar struggled throughout the series, goes into the Sydney Test, cuts out the cover drive and scores a double century. Possibly expect some sort of similar grit from Steven Smith, maybe cut something out and go ahead and do what he does best.
Oh, look, I think Steven Smith's such a quality player that he will come back into this series at some stage. Look, he's had Ashwin's had his measure, and then obviously Bumrah picked him up in this last innings. But look, he's a quality player. But Australia do rely on Labuschagne and him. They have been the mainstays for the Australian team. But we've seen with the Indian side, Bajaj has been that, he was that linchpin a couple of seasons ago out here in Australia. But some other players are stepping up. I'll also mention, I was disappointed for Riddiman Saha. I really wanted him to play, but I had an inkling he wasn't going to get in. He had 2 poor outs, and he dropped the catch, and I could not believe the catch that he dropped in that last match. But Pant just brings this energy. He brings this, he has this vivacious personality, and it comes out in his batting. And so I think guys like Gill, such positive batsmen, Pant, a positive batsman. Then you've got some real good strength in the middle there. I think the Indian side is so well balanced. And I think actually this team, I'm not sure what's going to happen with Yadav, but I think this team matches up well at the venue at the SCG. It's how quick does cricket change? Indian team is bowled out for 36, a most embarrassing situation. And as we all thought, maybe this is going to derail the whole series. But there's a different Indian side now. It's a very worldly team. You can see the team management. You can see the coaching staff. You can see the bench players and the bench strength. The Indian team, very versatile, very organised, very professional. They pushed that 36 aside. And as the captain said today, Ajinkya Rahane said today, it was about character. And he showed character. He led from the front. Obviously, he's a quietly mannered person, but actions speak the loudest truths, and actions he delivered.
And finally, this is about the man of the moment, Ajinkya Rahane. Before this test match, Simon, you told us that beautiful story of Sunny Gavaskar doing this at the MCG after scoring 100, and Rahane certainly did that. Gentlemen, tell me what, according to you, he did differently when compared to the other batsmen, because he was the standout by miles.
I'll let you go first, Sachin.
He played the role of what Sunil Gavaskar played with the Indian team. He was the anchor around which all the other performances were built. He stood there like the Rock of Gibraltar, and everyone came and did their little parts while he stood there. And like a typical old-fashioned Bombay cricketer from the old school of cricket, from the old school of Test cricket, he batted and batted. He batted a session, batted a second, batted a third. And when you bat 3-4 sessions, you win a game, and that's exactly what happened.
I concur everything what Sachin just said. He was a class act. He was brilliant. He was measured. He was intelligent. He was very cool, even in a situation where India lost 2 quick wickets, and we thought, "Oh no, can this happen again? will they be bowled out before making the 70 runs?" So, look, I think all looks great for this next match. But Sachin Bajaj, I have to say this to you, my friend. Well, I knew I was coming to chat with you tonight. Your Sydney Sixers beat my Melbourne Renegades by a couple of balls. Jason Holder whacked a couple of 4s and 6s. So you had a couple of wins today, mate. Your Indian national team and your beloved Sydney Sixers in the BBL.
Not a bad day at the office for me. Only Liverpool were held for a draw by West Brom after beating Crystal Palace 7-0. Life's a great leveler, and India's leveled it back.
They have.
It absolutely has. And gentlemen, again, thank you so much for joining me. We will be back soon, everyone, in the new year. And for now, I'm sure we all are getting ready to say goodbye to the year 2020, which has been hard and difficult for most of the people around the planet. So I hope, yes, we are going to try and swing this out of the park. Definitely. I hope you gentlemen have got some good plans to welcome 2021. And yes, I do wish Melbourne Renegades the very best, because what's happened with India can definitely happen with the Melbourne Renegades and a complete turnaround at the BBL.
I hope you are right. I hope you are right. We've had a tough start. I hope you are right.
As my closing comments, I hope the Renegades make the final against the Sydney Sixers.
Oh, thank you very much, Sachin. And no doubt, hopefully you'll have your good friend Henry Lawson chat to you about some things happening with the SCG test.
No, I will. I think that will be an interesting show with his very forthright and very strong views here.
Absolutely. Thanks, gentlemen. Great to see you.
All the best. God bless.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you, everyone.
See you guys. Bye-bye.